WTI taking a dip today, despite what seems to be some pretty constructive news on the supply side after attacks on Saudi storage facilities. Let's bring in Ellen Wald, who's going to help us sift through both the demand and the supply side and the rally in crude that suddenly kind of stopped today. Ellen's the author of Saudi Inc. and the president at Transversal Consulting. So, Ellen, this seems like a story that would pop crude, but instead today we got a downdraft. What happened?
Well, I think what happened was that the market was definitely primed to go up after OPEC Plus, the meeting where they decided not to increase production despite the fact that everybody thought they would. And so there's this general feeling that the market is pretty tight right now. And then you have news of an attack on Saudi facilities, and immediately the mind jumps to last September when that attack on other Saudi facilities did leave the Saudis unable to export crude for a brief period of time. And so I think that's where everyone's thoughts went, and that's why we saw crude oil jumping initially. But then came this realization that the attack didn't actually do that much to the Saudi facilities. They're still exporting oil just as regular, and so prices did come back down.
Okay, so right now it seems like we've got this still, even after this sell-off, right? I mean, not a lot of people expect us to be at $65 where we are. We were talking the technicals earlier on the show, Ellen, this kind of downtrend from years breaking. Kind of give me your overall take here for how reliable this momentum is.
Well, I think that I think it's actually more tenuous than people think, and we really need, I think, to look at what we're seeing coming out of OPEC. We definitely had some people who were saying, this is, we're in an upcycle. Prices are going up. The oil market is really tight, but there are signs that the tightness may be somewhat artificial at the moment. And I think that the Saudi oil minister and also the Saudi CEO of Aramco both alluded to these concerns when they spoke last week. The CEO of Aramco, Nasser, said that really they don't see demand returning to pre-pandemic levels until into 2022. And the Saudi oil minister is really looking at this with caution. Of course, he's got the benefit of kind of heading OPEC Plus, and they're going to be meeting again in a month. So if he feels that their decision to not increase production is causing prices to go too high, he can certainly reverse that within a month.
So what's our timeline here that we should be working on for the next update? When they tell us something, OPEC, how long does it last for right now, Ellen? It seems like maybe what you're saying is we should expect a little bit of high frequency kind of data and inputs here as they might change their mind if suddenly this thing really starts ripping.
Exactly, and OPEC has kind of moved to this every month or once a month meetings, which is really a big break from where they were meeting, twice a year, and the adjustments. They weren't looking to make such adjustments every month, but they've really kind of embraced this idea that they're going to be reacting to the market, which is, I think, why part of the reason why people assumed that they were getting set to increase production by at least 500,000 barrels per day, possibly another million on top of that for the Saudis to bring back this extra production they're holding off the market. And that's why everyone was very surprised when they basically decided to scrap all that. And a reason prices are really rising and look to go higher despite the kind of blip we saw with the geopolitical incident. Now, it does raise the fact that a tighter oil market means that geopolitics can play a bigger role in prices. And I think that we saw that in the brief jump up. People then realized that it really wasn't going to affect prices, but there is now this realization that the geopolitics of the region can really have a greater impact on prices than before, when the market was very well supplied or even more oversupplied. So
clearly we're going to have some pretty reflexive kind of moves in the WTI. Is there a level of crude, Ellen, where it's just impossible to imagine the Saudis not wanting to pump more and OPEC just looking at a WTI as too seductive of a scale play and volume? Where is that? Is it like 70 is your point here? It might be very close to where we are right now, or is it something beyond that where, okay, if they start pumping at $80, then they can enjoy a crash all the way back down to 50 and make money all the way? I mean, what's kind of the point where they can go, okay, even if we top the market here, it's still in our best interest?
Well, I think that's the question that everyone wants to know, because the prince basically said, the prince who's the Saudi oil minister basically said, well, the era of drill, baby, drill in the shale oil market is over now. And I'm not sure that he's necessarily correct in that. We've definitely gotten a lot of messaging out of the big companies that they say at least that they are looking to maintain discipline, production discipline. They're not looking to increase. But you have to remember that the oil is in the ground, and if there's money to be made on it and people can make money on it, they will. The question is just, when can that production come back online? Right now in the U.S., we're down to about 11 million barrels a day. That's about 2 million barrels a day down from the height, which was 13 early last year. And so the question is, even if that 2 million isn't going to come back, another million could possibly come back. Or then you have to start looking, well, could that production come from other sources? Will other sources be more motivated? Say the diplomacy efforts between the U.S. and Iran get moving, and suddenly Iran is able to put another 1 million or 2 million barrels per day on the market. How are the Saudis going to look at that? Are they going to see that as, this is our time, we better move on this? Yeah. And I think that's something that we need to keep in mind, that it's not just the U.S. that has the capability to put more oil on the market if it wants to.
Okay. So WTI down here today, finally taking a step back, and a little bit of a heads up that maybe some of the supply promises could be arguably more fragile than we think. Ellen, thanks for the input as always.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ellen Wald, the author of Saudi Inc. and the president at Transversal Consulting.